Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. I am in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So today I want to talk again about our experience on this trip when it comes to COVID protocols and also visas. So the last time I made a video like this was when I was in Eswatini in 2021. If you want to watch that video, I'll post the link below. So in 2021, around September, we were in Eswatini and we decided to go to South Africa. And it just so happened on the way there, while we were driving to South Africa from Eswatini, we got a message from my brother saying that his oncologist just confirmed that his cancer had returned because he was in remission. He had been in remission for 7 years already, but it had returned. So it was actually quite a good thing that we decided to go back on that day. So at the border, so between Eswatini and South Africa, you don't need to get a PCR test because all we needed was we got a rapid test at the border to enter South Africa. And I am visa free, obviously, because I'm a citizen, and then Zainal is also visa free, but because for South Africa, there's, I think you get, foreigners, Malaysians get 90 days. So you can go in and out, multiple entry for 90 days. But because we've been going in and out already for 60 days, he only had like 30 days left on his 90 days. So we had to keep this in mind. But while we were in South Africa, everything was fine, and then Omicron hit. And when Omicron hit, a lot of the countries in the world started closing their borders to travelers from that region, like South Africa, Lesotho, Eswatini, Mozambique, Zambia, Namibia, the whole southern African region. And we were starting to get worried because at that moment, the only border that was still closed, just in general for COVID, was Zimbabwe. And we decided we need to get out because we didn't want to get stuck in South Africa like we did the last time when we were in Tanzania, where we had to stay for 5 months. We had never lived under lockdown, so we didn't want to start testing it out now because we've seen how lockdowns was affecting the rest of the world and people, and that was just not a life for us. So we decided, let's get out of here. Okay, so we decided, okay, we'll go to Tanzania. Now, from South Africa to Tanzania, there are two routes. You can go South Africa, Eswatini, and then you can go Mozambique or Zimbabwe, and then you can go Malawi or Zambia. You can also leave out Eswatini and go straight from South Africa to either Zimbabwe or Mozambique. But because we were in Johannesburg, it's better for us to go to Eswatini because Zimbabwe border was closed. So we decided to go South Africa, Eswatini, Mozambique, Malawi, then Tanzania. Now, just from Eswatini itself, the distance to Tanzania is 2,876 kilometers. So that would take quite a few days, a lot of PCR tests and rapid tests. And because of Omicron, some of the countries have now decided you need to do rapid tests, you need to have PCR test, vaccine certificate, and then you need to do rapid test on one side, pay for it, and then on the other side, and pay for it. So a lot of money involved, a lot of time involved. So we needed to get the fastest route to go there. We were also told that, well, what we could see on the internet, and we called people in Zambia, they said Zambia is, it seems that they're very strict. And Zambia from all the countries was like the most expensive. Their PCR tests and rapid tests were the most expensive and just very strict. So we decided to leave Zambia out, we'll go via Malawi. Because our friend who lives in Malawi, we called her, she said she had just crossed the border from Malawi. She's on her way to South Africa, and she said There was nothing at the border. There was just PCR test and that's it. No vaccine cert, nothing. Anyway, so we got our PCR test in South Africa, which you have to pay for. And then we headed off to Eswatini. So Eswatini is fine because they just check PCR test. They didn't ask for vaccine cert. We are both visa free. But what happened is, while we were in South Africa, before all this Omicron thing happened, we decided to apply for a visa extension for Zainal so that he can stay an extra month, so that we can be with my brother. So we did get that. We did go and apply for that. Now the ruling with this application is that while the visa is pending, you cannot leave the country. But now here we are leaving the country while the visa is pending. So of course that was a problem at the border. But after a lot of back and forth, Zainal managed to persuade them to let us go. We were also okay with leaving because at that time my brother seemed better. So we left. So nothing too extreme at that border. So once we were in Eswatini, we were just there for 1 day so we could use the same, we wanted that way so that we can use the same PCR test to enter Mozambique. So of course at the Mozambican border, again, we just showed the PCR test. I remember they asked for Zainal's vaccine cert because he had to apply for a visa. He gets visa on arrival. I am visa free. So because of visa on arrival, the protocol is he has to have the vaccine cert. So they asked for him for it. But I observed they asked for it, but they did nothing with it. It was just there. They continued with these passport details and stamped the passport and then just gave all the documents back to us. We crossed the border. Now, Mozambique is very big. It's a big country. So to get from the border of the Mozambican South African border to the Malawi Mozambican border, the distance is 1,655 kilometers. So this is from the Mozambican border to the Zobwe border. The Zobwe border is the Malawi Mozambique border. So of course this would take a few days. So this would mean we cannot use our PCR test, the same one, because the 72 hours would be up. So we took our time to get up to Tet, which is a city about 100 or 80 kilometers from the border. Then we went Tet. We went for another PCR test. Once we got that, next day we left for Malawi. And the Malawi border was also very simple. We both visa free, PCR test. I don't remember if they asked for vaccine certificate. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't remember. But just so you know, the vaccine certificate in Africa is just words. It doesn't mean anything. That's why I don't remember whether I had to show it or not because it was just such a non-issue. The PCR test, yes, very serious about that. So yeah, we only needed the PCR test, no visas. So right from the border, we wanted to rush through because to get to the next border, which is the Tanzania border at Songwe, it's 1,007 kilometers. So it's also a bit far, take us like 2 days. So what we did was finish the border, finished everything at the border, money changes, etc. First night in a hotel room. Next morning, back in the car. Next night, we went to our friend's campsite. Beautiful. It's called Kingsway Campsite. If anyone is ever in Malawi, on Lake Malawi. We're there just for the night. There was nobody there, only us. Nobody. We were the only people there. Slept next morning, 4 o'clock. We had to get up, rush to the border because we needed to get to the border before 10 o'clock because that was the deadline for our PCR test. So we rushed, 4 o'clock, got up, we're at the border. Got to the border there. To cross, they only asked for a PCR test, which we showed. And then once we had that, we were so happy because now we are over into Tanzania. Now we can relax. We don't have to care about anything anymore. Got there, then they told us, no, for Tanzania, you need to also do a rapid test, but it's free. So this was fine because it's free. And both of us are visa free. They gave us 3 months because normally Malaysians and South Africans get 3 months. So drama started here because, first of all, let me explain the setup. So in the immigration hall, there's an immigration, like a main hall, so everybody sits there. So there's like a lot of people, it's full. So was I even put on a mask because it was just too many people. Nobody was wearing masks, only us. And then there was another couple, Tanzanian woman with a white man. They were also wearing masks. So it's just the 4 of us in masks. Everybody else was just free and easy. And then there was another, like next to the main hall, there's like a corridor where there's overflow of travelers as well. Then to go for the PCR test, and I noticed it was only non-Tanzanians that didn't have to go for the PCR test. I don't know how that works, but anyway, that's how they do things. Now to go to the nurse who's in the back room, there's a corridor. This is the main hall, then there's a corridor, and you have to walk down the corridor to get to the main hall, to the PCR room. Now, this corridor, there are chairs on each side, and so only one person at a time can walk along the corridor to get to the room. So as we were walking, there was another guy coming out, so we all had to like move and breathe on the other side because no one wants to get COVID. Then the couple, the white guy with the Tanzanian woman, they went in. Zainal and I were told to sit down. So they went in, and then they came out, and the guy was like angry. And the woman was like, they walked out, and then the nurse walked out after them. And then, because I'm a bit capo, I want to know what's going on. Then I went out. And then while the nurse and the officials there were talking to the guy, I asked her what happened. She said, oh no, he tested positive. And she was like, she doesn't know how this is possible because they actually had their PCR test just like in Malawi, just like the day before. So they don't understand where he could have gotten COVID so quickly. And he was very angry. And then what was weird was he's supposed to be COVID positive, but he's there in the main hall with everybody. Nobody isolated him. He's just like mingling with everybody else, talking like with officers, and people are up and down behind him, just like normal. Anyway, then she left, the nurse left him with the officials there, and then she went back to the room and asked us to come. So we went in, we did the rapid test. She told us to go back to the main hall. We went back to the main hall, we sat there, and then she came out. She came to me. She said, excuse me, you are COVID positive. Okay, I was shocked, like, let me see. Then I took the paper and I was like, no, it's him. It was Zainal's name. Then she was shocked. And then Zainal was angry. Like, how can I be COVID positive? What is this? And then, because we were making a racket in the main hall, it was like people started looking. Then she said, oh, come to the back. Then I said, yeah, right, we should go to the back because if he's COVID positive, we shouldn't be standing around here with all these people. He will infect everybody. So we went to the back room, and I was like a bit trying to stay far away from Zainal because I don't want COVID. And I'm already thinking, okay, so I guess he has to go into quarantine and in a hotel, and I don't know how expensive that's going to be, and what's going to happen to me, where am I going to go, and all this kind of stuff was going through my head. And Zainal was like, I want another test. I'm not positive. You are lying, blah, 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 blah. And then she was explaining to him, no, sir, you see, you are positive. He said, okay, so what must I do now? She said, okay, now you're going to go into quarantine at the hotel. And it costs, I think, 300 ringgit per night. And then I was like, I hope this is a 6-star hotel, 300 ringgit per night, okay? But you have to wait for my boss, whatever, to come here, and then he'll talk to you. And I was like saying to her, no, he should be isolated now already from everybody because he's here in this room with you and I. He's infecting us. He's going to go out there. He's going to infect everybody. He should be isolated immediately. And then Zainal said, and if he's going to be in quarantine, he would prefer to be quarantined in the hospital. Because if he's in the hospital, if things really get bad, he's already there. And he'd rather spend that money and pay for a hospital room every night than be in a hotel. Because we know the hotels are not up to standard. At least the hospital, for sure, it will be clean. No, 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 you cannot stay in the hospital. You have to. He said, what if I'm sick? No, no, even if you're sick, you must stay in your room. Then we already knew something is not right here. This just doesn't sound right. Then she said, no, you have to wait for the guy. And then she was like, get out, get out, get out. So we went out in the main hall. So we're sitting there on the benches next to everybody else. And everyone is like looking at us and they're asking what happened. And I'm like, he's got COVID. And I was like, oh, he's got COVID. Like nobody cared that he has COVID. And then he decided he needs money. So he went outside looking for money changes. Now, I don't know. This is a man who has COVID. Him and the white guy are both running up and down outside, changing money with the money changers, like just infecting everybody. So I don't know, but that's the Tanzanian protocols, which we knew was just rubbish because they just wanted money. So we waiting for the boss, and then Zain was like, your boss is not coming. You better give me another rapid test now, right now. And I don't know what happened. Eventually she gave him another rapid test, and lo and behold, he was COVID negative. So basically that was the only drama we had with COVID tests and protocols and what have you on that trip. And I can tell you now, we have never had COVID. Zainal and I, we have not had COVID at all. And I don't know if it is because when we were in Eswatini, my doctor in South Africa, when I told him, there's no way we can get vaccines at that time, the first time when we were in Eswatini, because they had a category, and because of our age, we were not eligible at that time. Especially me, I was really not. Zainal was already 60, so he still stood a chance. Me was like zero chance. I have no comorbidities. And my age, I'm under 60, so it was not going to happen. How can we protect ourselves? So I was advised by my doctor to take that tablet, which I don't want to mention here because YouTube might, the algorithms, but it starts with an I, that one. We took that according to how the pharmacist told us, and also my doctor sent me the FLCCC protocols on how to use it as a prophylactic treatment. We did all of that and we followed. So I don't know, it could be that. Who knows? But we have never had COVID, never. Also never met anyone in Tanzania who had it. We also don't know anyone who died of it, like personally. Okay, so that is for Africa. Those were the visas and the COVID protocols. So we were in Tanzania for 4 months, and then we flew to Turkey. So for Turkey, for the airline, because we were flying Air Egypt, Air Egypt, they needed to see the vaccine certificate, but no PCR test was required, which was interesting because there was a man on the plane who I'm sure he had COVID. He was coughing and coughing and coughing throughout the trip, but he was on the plane because he has a vaccine certificate. Because those days, well, now there's no more COVID. I think those days it was like, as long as you have a vaccine certificate, you cannot have COVID. You don't have COVID. Because like that vaccine certificate, that piece of paper, miraculously just saves you. So that's why we were confident everybody on the plane didn't have COVID because everybody had a vaccine certificate. The other thing also with the vaccine certificate, it says you must have a vaccine certificate. It does not say you must be vaccinated. So that's two different things. So, everyone had vaccine certificates, but whether everyone is vaccinated was another story. Turkey, once we got there, nobody cared about PCR tests, nobody cared about vaccine certificates. From Turkey, we went to Georgia. We went to Georgia twice because at the border there, the land border, passengers have to walk. Drivers drive their car. So I don't know what happened with Zainul, but we are both visa free. Oh yes, for Turkey, Zainul is visa free. I have to apply for a visa, but I get it like within a few hours and it's free. I don't pay. It's a mere formality. Georgia, we are both visa free. You get 1 year visa. Most people in the world get 1 year visa free. And for me, nobody asked for vaccine certificate the first time. No PCR test, just go in. Second time, the guy asked, do you have a vaccine certificate? I said yes, and then I went into my backpack to take it out, and he said, oh, it's okay. Iran never asked me for a vaccine certificate. First time, didn't ask. Second time, they asked, but again, they take it, they don't do anything with it. They just take it and put it there and continue with their work, and then they give it back to you. So I don't know what the whole story with that is. Third time, they asked me, I said it's in the car because my husband had to take the car that side for the check, and then they were like, okay, go through, stamp, go through. For Iran, we applied online for our visas. Both of us need to apply online. So we applied for a 45-day visa. It's very easy. You apply online and then you go to you say where you want to collect the visa. Then you go there and you just collect it and you pay the fee. That's all. It's very simple. Pakistan, we applied online. Pakistan's a bit more complicated because you need a letter of invitation, which we got. And then you have to apply online. But for Pakistan, because we were in Iran that time and then the protests were happening, so there was no internet. So we could not leave the country because we applied online. And if you are online, that's it. Pakistan did not know how to do it offline. So we had to wait for them to set up the offline system again. And eventually, when they did set up the offline system, which was like, I think, a month later, something like that, we got our visas and we could go to Pakistan. And like I said, Pakistan, there was no COVID protocols, no vaccine, no PCR, nothing. Flew back to Malaysia, no PCR, no COVID, nothing. So if anybody has any questions to ask me, please ask in the comments on YouTube, not on Facebook, please. I do not go on Facebook. Comment on YouTube. If there's any subject you'd like me to cover about our travels, I will do so. Just please let me know. And thank you for watching.